Hey, sister. I've talked with a lot of women about writing their books, and they have a lot of questions. They want to know, how do you get started? Why do people write books? What's the process? Will I get my money back? This all makes sense. Most have never worked on a book or have never worked with a ghostwriter. And a lot of the time, the same questions come up. So instead of you having to work your way through all of those questions and answers on your own, I've compiled a group of the common ones in this video. Please keep in mind that not all of the answers inside this video are a one-size-fits-all. There are a lot of situations and scenarios that are very unique to the person and their story. But if you can't find what you're looking for in this video, then I would be happy for you to reach out. I'll answer those questions one-to-one with you in a free coffee and craft call. Or if you would like more of the answers to these questions, because I'm just giving you the Cliff Notes version, you can grab my free ebook, which goes into more detail. I'll give you more on that a little bit later. So question 1, why do people write books? There are lots of reasons that people write books, but here are a few categories of things to consider, although it's not an exclusive list. If you're writer people, then maybe you've been wanting to write something for a very long time. You want to scratch that internal itch for having a book come to fruition. If you're a business person, you might have a particular theory or framework that you've developed that you want to share. Writing a book ends up being a part of gaining credibility and visibility for your business, in your field, or in your industry. If you're a celebrity or a notable figure, you might already have a following of people who want to hear about your life story, so why not write a book? And then there's most of us who are regular Janes and Joes, but who might have gone through some really extraordinary experiences. Those stories might be passed down to other people to inspire hope or change and to make people feel less alone. These are just some of the reasons that people use or have for writing a book. My question to you is, have you thought about the reason for writing yours? The next thing I hear a lot is, so people have said that I should write a book. Is that a good enough reason to write one? Now, I'm compelled to answer this question with a question. First, I want to know, do you really need a reason from somebody else to write a book? Can't you write a book just because you've decided that you want to? Do you need to validate your decision by someone else confirming or permitting you to do it? The next thing that I need to know is, why do you want to write the book? Do you want to write the book? Writing a book truly needs to be more about what you feel and what you want, and that you believe in the power of your story, more so than somebody saying to you that you should write one. So, does writing a book feel good to you? Does it feel aligned with your values? Do you really care about the story that you have to tell? If none of those things happen to be true, or you don't know the answers, then you might not be ready yet to write a book, or maybe writing a book isn't the right choice for you. How do I know what type of book I should write? So if the book fairy hasn't already shown you the way, then I would say that you need to lean on the goals of your book or the why. Why are you writing this book? And let that guide you. There are tons of different types of questions that you can ask yourself to help you narrow down what book to write, such as, who is my ideal reader? What am I trying to ideally say and offer to the world? What kind of impact do I want to make through this work? And that might lead you to an answer as to what type of book you want to write. There are tons of different types of books, but here are a few. There's self-help and business. There's inspirational. There's the biography, autobiography, and memoir, all three being about a person's life, though there are some distinctions. And then there's all kinds of different work that falls under the fiction category. Again, this goes back to something that I had said earlier, which is about the types of people that might want to write a book. That whole conversation we had about writer people versus business people versus celebrities versus plain Janes and Joes. So understanding who you are and your impetus for wanting to write a book, and then understanding also what you hope for your audience to get out of your book, can help you lead to the answer of what kind of book to write. How can I go about writing a book that isn't so overwhelming? I'm going to answer this question with another question. What's causing you to be overwhelmed? I think we should start there. Is it that you're lacking clarity or confidence? Or is it that you don't understand the writing process? Or perhaps it's that there's too many publishing options? Or is it all of it? I would say if it's all of it, then take a deep breath and take a break and then get a piece of paper. Let's start here. What has compelled you to start writing this book to begin with? What about writing do you need to know more in order to make a decision? And then lastly, find a guide, wink wink, who knows the process, knows the publishing options, and can help you get clear and confident, and let them help you decide what the next steps are so that you don't have to feel so overwhelmed. Why do people choose to work with someone and not do it by themselves? The simplest answer is this. A lot of people don't have the time, skills, expertise, or experience when it comes to writing a book and bringing it from conception all the way to publication. Or they have the skills and the expertise, they've maybe written it before, they're strong writers, but they don't really want to spend their time in this way getting this book onto the page. They have something to say, they believe in what they have to say, but they just don't want to be the one to go through this whole process on their own. And so they employ a ghostwriter or a writing coach, I like to call myself a writing guide, to help them along the way in bringing the book from blank page to the bookshelf. What's the process like when you work with someone else to write your book? Truthfully, there is no actually defined process because every situation, every book, and every service provider is different. Ghostwriters are going to have their own personality, their own processes, and what they do and what they bring to the table needs to match and align with you as the client. What I can say is that no matter who you work with, you should not expect to tag in a writer and then walk away. This is your story, so you need to be involved in the process. You need to be involved and invested in the final product and how the story comes onto the page. Is it true to you? Is it authentic to you? Does it sound like you? Is it accurate? There are so many things where you're going to need to be the seal of approval. So expect for this to be a collaborative effort, even if you never touch your pen to the page. Another question I'm asked is, why does it cost so much to work with a ghostwriter? Think about any of your other service providers. You are paying them for their time, their expertise, the quality of their output, their skill, and a bunch of other things that happen in between all of those. They have to ask you a whole bunch of questions. They have to understand you intimately in order to be able to write your book and your story as if it was you. They pull off the biggest magic trick there ever was, which is basically taking over your voice and your story and making it so compelling, so authentic, so genuine that your audience doesn't have a clue that you didn't write it, and sometimes you don't even realize that you didn't write it. It sounds just like you. For ghostwriting to happen well, there's so much organization, attention to detail, writing skill, editing skill, conceptualization, analytical thinking, and all kinds of other things that go into writing your book. You don't want that to just be any person out there writing your story. You need somebody that has all of these skill sets to bring to the page. You're going to get what you pay for, and you're going to want to pay for the best. What's my investment and my return on investment? So let's start with the word investment. That is accurate. You are investing in this project. You're investing in the success. You're investing in how well it's going to be done. So you're going to need to think about the fact that you are paying someone for a full-length work and all of the time it takes to interview you and make sure that they get the story right and your voice right. Publishing is a long game though. And so even while you may have paid them for the book and all of the bells and whistles that they have put into their contract and that you've all agreed upon, you need to realize that publishing has no guarantees. Not only can it take a very long time for a book to be noticed or to get an agent, depending on the publishing route that you go, there is never any guarantee that you're going to sell as many books that you need to basically recoup the cost that you put in to write the book to begin with. In fact, most of the time, the people who spend money on a book don't necessarily make back what they put into it. So if you're really considering writing a book, you need to be aware of what you really want to get out of it. And if it is about the money, then I would suggest that you think carefully about the way that you write it and the way that you publish it. What can I do to make this go faster and cost less? All right, when people ask me this question, I hear cutting corners. Now, if that's not what you're asking me, and you're asking me more about how can I make this more economical, then I would say that you can basically do this all yourself. You can skip paying anybody to do anything. Write it yourself, design the cover yourself, lay out the interior design yourself, draft, edit, revise, do it all on your own. But to me, what that's going to result in is probably a low quality product. Because even if you are really good at all the things, this is an overwhelming and long-term process. There's lots of parts and pieces, and none of us are perfect and great at everything. It's also very hard to look at our own work and polish it as much as when an outside observer helps. We don't want your book to be rushed or half-assed. This is your book. This is your output. It represents you. So we want it to be as perfect as it can be, even though perfect is unattainable. We want it to be polished and we want it to be powerful. So we don't want cutting corners, even if we do want to see about what's economical. We started this with the question, why do people write books? And so now we're going to wrap up on the opposite side, which are there any reasons to not write one? I have a handful, but I'm going to give it to you short and sweet. Here's a list of things that if you're not like really committed, then I would say abort the book writing mission. So the first of these is if you're not a hell yes. The second of these is if you don't have a unique position. The third of these is if you're not willing to be uniquely you on the page and in your story, then I would say nope. The fourth one is if you are planning to cut corners and rush the process just to get it finished. And the fifth reason I wouldn't write a book would be if you're not ready or able or willing to put your business hat on. Because truthfully, writing a book and bringing it from start all the way to finish is really like running a very small business. So if any of those things are not true for you, as in you're not a hell yes and you don't have a unique position and et cetera, then I would say abort the book writing mission at this point, or maybe reevaluate at a later date. Thank you for joining me for this video. If you want to know more in-depth detail about these questions and my answers, then I really want to tell you now about that ebook I mentioned at the beginning. So this ebook is ready to be downloaded. You just have to hit this link. If you want clarity, you want exercises to help you move along on making a decision about whether or not you should write a book, then you want to get this ebook. It is completely free, easy to download, and like I said, it's just one click away. If you find after you read the ebook that you still have more questions or you want to strike up a conversation in a little bit more detail with me, I would love that. So you'll find inside that ebook the best way to get in touch with me, and I would love to hear from you.